Welcome back. This is Math Level D, Lesson 36. We are starting off on the workbook page today. We are learning how to do double digit by double digit multiplication, which is very difficult, usually the first time, but I'm going to give you hopefully an easier way to understand it. All right, so if you look at part 1, that's where we're going to be starting. I've already written the first one on the board, okay? I will also add these steps in the math materials so that if you guys need help that you can go there and utilize those steps. All right, so first things first. This problem is read 34 times 20. So you know that when we do regular multiplication problems with two numbers on top and just one number on the bottom, we have to make sure that we multiply by both the top numbers. So we start that same way. First thing I'm going to do, though, is draw a turtle head. This is called turtle head math. I'm even going to give him like a cute little face. Okay, so that's my little turtle head. All right, so that's step 1. Step 2 is to multiply the numbers in the neck. All right, so 0 times 4 is 0. 0 times 3 is 0. Pretty easy so far. Next step, draw a collar. I don't care, you can make a little diamond collar, make them look cute little turtle. Draw a collar. Now, next step is we have to lay an egg. So the turtle, he always lays an egg right here. After we cross out and put a collar on, we lay an egg. Now we have a turtle egg. Then our next step is to multiply the numbers outside of the neck. So my first number outside of the neck, just like we just did with the 0, I'm going to multiply them by both. Let me move these little arrows so you can see better. 2 times 4 is 8. And I have to put it right there next to my egg. My next problem is 2 times 3, which is 6. Now I have a whole new problem. And this is actually going to be addition. It's pretty easy. I believe all of these ones are just going to have you working with zeros. But generally, we have more than just 0 in this first line. So we would add those numbers up, and then that would be our total. So our total is 680. So 34 times 20 is 680. All right, let's do another one. $42 times 30. And 78 times 10. All right. If we remember, our first step in our turtle head multiplication is to draw a turtle head. I'm going to go ahead and draw my turtle head. You don't have to make a face. I always like to. Makes me feel like I'm having more fun doing math. All right. Next thing I have to do is multiply by the numbers in the neck. Okay. 0 times 2 is 0. 0 times 4 is 0. Next, I draw a collar. The turtle has a little collar, and then my turtle lays an egg right here. Next, I have to multiply the numbers outside of the neck. So, 3. Go here first. 3 times 2, 6. 3 times 4, 12. Remember, I would then add these, but 0 plus 0 is 0. 0 plus 6 is 6. Bring those numbers down. 1,260. The more and more you do this, the easier it gets, I promise. All right, next problem. First step, draw a turtle head. Next step, multiply the numbers in the neck. 0 times 8 is 0. 0 times 7 is 0. Next, draw a collar. Okay, then we lay an egg. Don't forget that egg. If you forget that egg, it throws off the whole problem. All right, next, I'm going to multiply the numbers outside of the neck. Okay, so I have 1 times 8, which is 8, and 1 times 7, which is 7. So 780. All right, we just have one more problem there. It's D. It is 62 times 40. I really want to see if you guys can use my steps, if you can complete that problem on your own. Just know that it is also going to have the zeros here like that. These problems will get more difficult as we move on. So as long as we can make sure we're mastering these to begin with and mastering our turtle head steps, then we should be good. All right, when you are finished, we're going to go ahead and find part 2. Part 2. All of these problems divide by 3. We're going to figure out the answer and say the problems as we work them. So my first problem here, 3 divided by 3 is easy peasy, 1. The next one, 24 divided by 3. How many times is 3 going to 24? Your answer is 8, and you're going to put it above that 4. I want you to finish part 2 on your own because we can do those. Those are easy. However, we'll work on part 3. All right, I'm going to do the first 4 with you, and then I do want to see how you do on your own. We have some serious mathematicians in this group, so I don't want to do too much. I want to really see what you guys can do on your own. All right, so part 3. For some of these problems, the first 2 digits are underlined. For some of these problems, only the first digit is underlined. You're going to say the division problem for the underlined part. Remember, if 2 digits are underlined, you say that problem for both digits. So problem A. "12 divided by 2 is 6. So I'm going to put my 6 above that second number because I know that 2 is going into 12, not just 1. Then 2 goes into 0, 0 times. Next one, we have to make sure we're saying the problem so it doesn't confuse us. My underlying number here is 16. 16 divided by 2 is 8. 2 divided by 0 is, or 0 divided by 2 is 1. 0. Goodness. All right, C, we only have 1 digit there. 6 divided by 2 is 3. So my 3 goes right on top of that 6. You notice that it goes right on top the number, the last number that is underlined. Next, 2 divided by 2 is 1. Next, 8 divided by 2 is 4. Pretty easy, right? It's easy when they're equal. It's not easy when there's remainders. But we'll get closer to that as well. All right, the next one, 10 divided by 2 is 5. And then 6 divided by 2 is 3. All right. So I want you to go ahead and try those other ones on your own. If you do have trouble, it's okay. That's why we're doing this. You can feel free to rewatch this part of the video, or you can ask for help, and we can definitely meet up and do some help with that and the turtle head multiplication. Those are both new. Let's see. We're going to go ahead and find part 4. Just like yesterday, we've got some mixed number lines. First number line, you're going to count from 0 to, this would be 1. Let's see how many parts. 1, 2, 3. So the bottom of your fraction over here is going to be 3. On this one, 0 to the big notch, 1 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the bottom of your fraction for this one is going to be 5. You are going to go ahead and figure out the top numbers. You can plug these in 0, 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3. So then it will be, multiply the bottom number by the big number, the bottom number by the big number, bottom number by the big number. Same thing on this side. Then I want you to go in and plot these on the correct line. So if there is a 5 on the bottom, the denominator, for example, B and A both have 5 as the denominators. Those are going to be plugged in on this line. If it has 3 as a denominator, it's going to be plugged in on this line. So I want you to go ahead and try and plug those in the best that you can. Remember, that first big number, you're going to jump to that notch. So you can fill in those numbers, but this one says 2. So I'm going to start on the 3 line over here, and I'm going to count 1, 2 to the first big notch. Then for 1/3, I'm going to just jump one little one, and then draw a line and put an E. All right, when you are finished with that, we are going to go head over to the textbook. Find part 1. Actually, part 1 we're not going to do because those are confusing. But, so just don't worry about those. We'll go ahead and go to part 2. So remember how I said that those numbers that we write along the line that we're setting up those problems are going to get a little bit harder? Well, today's the day. Find part 2. The first sentence in each problem tells you how to put the numbers and the names on the number line or on the family line, just like you guys have been practicing. The second sentence is going to tell you about another number, more or less, and then you have to write the difference number. All right. So we'll go ahead and set these up together. A, B, C, and D. You're going to go ahead and make your number families. And I will read A. The first sentence says, there were 14 more blue boats than white boats. Okay, so there's a difference number there. Okay, so I'm talking about the difference between blue boats and white boats. So if I have a difference number, my difference number always goes here. My difference number is 14. When I have to figure out which I had more than, I might have to continue reading. So it says there were more blue boats than white boats. So I know that blue is my big number. And then white would go in this other small number space. Let's read the next sentence to see how much more information we can get. There were 89 blue boats. How many white boats were there? So I know how many boats were blue. There were 89. So now we have enough information to solve this number family. Remember, when you are missing a small number, you subtract. So 89 minus 14. Lucky for you, you do not have to subtract, or you do not have to borrow. I apologize. But make sure, I want you guys to solve these parts because those are easy. Make sure you put a label. So my label is going to tell me what I'm talking about, because I could just have an answer and I don't know what that means. So what I want you to write is, when you figure out your answer, then you are going to write white boats. Labels are very important. All right, go ahead and look at B. Let's see how we set up B. There were 14 blue boats, and the rest of the boats were not blue. Okay, so this does not have a difference. I'm still talking about boats. I'm talking about blue and not blue. Remember, these types of problems have a box at the end for all. All right, so then I'm going to double check my numbers. Let's see, there were 14 blue boats. So I'm going to find the blue, plug my 14 in there. Then I'm going to continue reading. There were 109 boats that were not blue. So not blue, 109. My last sentence, how many boats in all? When I am trying to figure out how many in all, I'm going to be adding. So 109 plus 14. Easy peasy. Again, you are going to have to solve and then put a label. So if I want to know how many boats are in all, I'm just going to have my number and I'm going to say boats. Because that tells me how many boats I have in all together. All right, C. There were small umbrellas and the rest were not small. Okay, so it's very similar to this other one. We have umbrellas. There were small and not small. Remember what goes at the end? All. That's how many umbrellas we have in all. All right, next sentence. 68 umbrellas were not small. Find not small, 68. Next sentence. There were 271 umbrellas in all. So I don't put it under the small umbrellas. I'm going to put it under the in all. 271. So now I know how many umbrellas we have in all, and I know how many not small umbrellas we have, so big umbrellas. I am going to have to work backwards and subtract to find my answer. So 271 minus 68. Gonna have to borrow from here, bring that 1 over here. All right, for my label for this one, what is my answer going to be telling me? My answer is going to tell me how many small umbrellas I have. So when I figure out my answer, I'm going to label it with small umbrellas. Okay. And our last one here. There were 120 fewer hungry dogs than full dogs. So that's a difference number. So I'm going to go ahead and just plug that in, 120. Then I like to reread it without that difference number. There were fewer hungry dogs than full dogs. So there are more full dogs. So I'm going to say full dog, full, hungry, and dogs. All right, next sentence. 134 dogs were full. So I'm going to plug that in. 134 were full. How many were hungry? So I have to find out how many were hungry. Again, I'm going to work backwards. I know that the difference number is 120. So in order for me to find out how many dogs were hungry, I have to subtract. So 134 minus 120. That'll give you your difference number. But what am I talking about? My label should tell me what the number is for. So when I get my answer, I'm going to write hungry dogs. All right. When you're ready, we can move on to part 3. Part 3. These are pretty easy. You guys have done these a couple times. Remember, you're just multiplying the big number by the number on the bottom of the fraction, the denominator. So 3 times 6 equals 18. 18 would be my top number. You guys can go ahead and complete part 3 on your own. You can also then go ahead and get started on the independent work portion, and when you are finished, submit to your teacher.